Hi, Inutu here. Welcome to Bulela podcast. In this episode, I am talking with CHIKUMO FISEKO, who is a serial entrepreneur, marketing consultant, food stylist, blogger, and content creator. This is a two-part episode, so stay tuned and listen to part one. Okay. Yay, my guest is here. Boom. Okay. So, welcome to another episode of Shimika Conmigo. I have a guest coming on live with me. She's CHIKUMO FISEKO, and you're going to learn a little bit more about her shortly. Okay. So, I'm just going to add her, invite her. Oh boy, I hope this works. Let's see. Oh yeah, there she is. Hi. Welcome everyone that's popping in. Okay, yeah. All right.
Hey.
Perfect. Okay.
That's so
Yes. I'm just going to move this a little because I'm always so close, so you just like my face is the whole thing. But anyways, so welcome to Shimika Conmigo. I'm always very excited when a guest comes on, I can't contain my joy. So thanks for making the time. I know you're busy doing lots of other things, so thank you and welcome to Shimika Conmigo.
You are welcome.
All right, so those of you who are joining us, or those of you who will be watching this, you're going to be wondering, who is Bulela podcast speaking to today? So why don't you tell us, CHIKUMO, who are you? What do you do? Give us a little brief intro so people can get to know you.
My name's CHIKUMO. I was born in Zambia, grew up in England, and now I live in Ireland. I'm a food and marketing consultant, a food stylist, a blogger, content creator, basically a jack of all trades. Just in general, to be honest, you'll see that my life revolves around food. So even now, I'm working on a project that is, so I'm just in an office, and outside I'm helping one of my clients, that's actually my dad, work on a project for him that's a foodie one. So I'll be able to share a bit more about that later on as well.
Okay, good, fantastic. So, I mean, people will come into the live, the IG live, but when this is edited and it's up on YouTube, there will be links to CHIKUMO's Instagram and all of her socials, so you can check her out. She's got great content.
Thanks.
Okay, so I'm talking about Zambia, okay, and that is, in case people are wondering, like, Ireland. I'm talking to her because Shimika Conmigo, Bulela podcast, wants to focus on Zambians in Zambia and across the globe doing amazing things. So I want to talk a little bit about you being an entrepreneur. Yeah, you said you're a jack of all trades. We said we're going to talk about CF marketing, but how has that been your journey? Okay, so becoming an entrepreneur, what challenges, what are the advantages, if any, you being, having Zambian heritage, growing up in the United Kingdom, and then later in Ireland. I'm not sure if there's a big difference there. But yeah, tell us a little bit about that, being a young Black woman who is an entrepreneur. Tell us a bit about that.
I'll try and keep it as short and snappy as possible, but it's been long. So I started my first business when I was 15, and that was mostly muffins. So I used to bake, and this is where the love of food came from as well. I love food in general anyway, but I wanted to go to cinema, and my mum and dad basically, you've always got that one parent that's like, yeah, do what you want. Dad's the strict one, but if I go to dad and say, Mum says yes if you say yes, those scenarios where they both said yes I could go, but then Mum was like, well, you can raise your own money to go, but she'd been teaching me how to bake. So now, right, I'm not gonna let this woman win. I need to make sure that I can afford to go, and I needed £10. So when she taught me how to bake, I'd been so proud of what I'd baked that I'd taken them in for my friends to try. And when I went back saying, okay, I've got no money, but they've said I can go, what can I do to raise the money? One of my friends was then saying, well, just bake for us, bake a muffin £1, and we'll be able to basically fund the trip. And that's literally how it started. But you can imagine from back then, I constantly had, especially men, and I've been surrounded by white men, especially in business, my whole career. And I had these guys basically saying, you do realise that you have to be a particular way. You have to, not in any certain ways I'm saying I have to look a particular way, but I just didn't fit that norm of the people I was surrounded by were mainly older white men. And then all of a sudden you've got a black woman that's coming in and kind of, because especially bacon's quite common. So even competitions that I entered and I was winning, the exposure I was getting, it wasn't what you'd expect from a baker, because to the world, the business world, everyone does baking. So what's special about you? Whereas it's always been about the relationships that I build and the passion that I have for what I do. So that's kind of how that started. And then as the years have gone on, I've ended up accidentally falling into things again, because I like to choose what I enjoy doing. So I ended up working for a company because I failed my A-levels my first year and ended up starting college again. And when I started college, I won a competition where one of the panelists was at Hallam University, where I ended up going. So she remembered on my presentation and got in touch when I started. And she put me with different like business mentors, and she was just there to really help. And I'd worked out that, because I felt at the time I was like really behind, like college-wise, depending, like looking at my friends, I thought my life's over, everyone's a year ahead of me, and look where I am. So I looked at the time I had at uni and thought, right, I'm not going to take the year out to work. I'm going to try and do that in 6 months and catch up with my friends, which is definitely the wrong way of thinking about it. Now I look back. But it helped, because when I went to speak to a woman from Delicious Alchemy about taking one of my placements there, I said, okay, I've got stuff in the summer. Could I do one summer here? And I ended up working for them. Never did a placement. I ended up being hired as their product development, basically consultant. And again, all because I enjoyed baking. They saw that I enjoyed it, and the woman left that did it. So then they were, well, rather than you wait till the summer, do you just want a job? So I started working for them as a consultant. I was going to pitch at the supermarkets. I got products in supermarkets, and I learned a lot from that as well, because I think, especially in business as a young person and as a woman, I think we humble ourselves, and we don't want to think that, you don't want to boast, and you don't want to make it look like you're trying to say, oh, I'm really good at what I do. But clearly I'm good at what I do, which is why I am where I am. But it's taken a long time for me to even now I'm still struggling with that concept, because when you look at pricing, when you look at the time that you give to people, when you look at so many of the things that you do, when you value yourself, you're also making yourself work more. You're making yourself work more hours for less pay. It starts to kind of add up. And that's kind of where I am now, because over the last couple of years, I was made redundant twice. So my dad's thing's always been, make sure that you go to uni, do your masters, do everything you need to do so that you've got a background of education behind you in case things fail. And he'd always, I know that you're not going to work for someone in the end, because you've always shown this passion from when you were a kid. So I ended up in Ireland because that's where Dad lives, and he became ill. So I thought, let me do my masters here and then move back. And then I ended up loving it, and I stayed here, bought a house, and I've been here for nearly 5 years. But that's the time when I really started to focus on the blog. Now the blog aspect, I started because of living in two cultures. Now, again, two cultures as a businesswoman, as a black female, as a female surrounded by white boys, trying to navigate dating, trying to navigate life, especially when you're not seeing people that look like you on TV or wherever else. I struggled a lot. So I used to find that even when, like, for me, it's respecting. If I ask mum and dad, even now, I'm nearly 28, and not that I'm asking them for permission now, it's more that I want them to be involved in my life so they'll know what I'm doing. Whereas obviously before it would have been, I'm asking for permission. And I used to understand that if mum and dad say no, especially dad, then it's a no. And that was kind of my outlet to be able to speak to people about the differences in culture, and that it's not a bad thing. Like, I'm not being abused because they say no, because if anything, I've had such a good life, and I've never wanted for anything. I've never needed anything, because they've given us everything we've ever needed. So I carried on with the blog when I moved to Northern Ireland. I'll specify Northern Ireland because, again, the culture here is very different to England. So when I focused on the blog, I realized that you could get paid from it. And and again, this is
smart woman.
But this is networking as well. And I think this is where you also have to be so genuine as a person and in what you do, because there'll be people that genuinely want to help you along the way and will just give you tips and advice that will take you to that next level. So the told me that you could make money from the blog was one of my followers, and all together. So she was like, oh, did you know that there's this group that you could join? And I was like, no, I didn't know that. But this was in Sheffield. So I was like, well, I've Sheffield, but obviously if there's one for Sheffield, then surely there'll be one for here, Northern Ireland. So I found one. I started getting invited to like events and getting paid for things. And then over the last couple of years, obviously I've worked with like a lot of great companies, but being made redundant over like the last couple of years, I realized that actually I'm struggling here because the economy's bad, because in general, obviously the pandemic made everything worse. Why am I still trying to focus on being secure in a job that doesn't make me happy, that I'm just thinking about being an adult now because I've got a mortgage. I'm trying to do the whole be an adult thing.
Oh, growing up is propaganda. Don't fall for it. No, I lie. No,
but part of it is true, because I think as you grow up, you start to take less risks. When I was younger, obviously even just moving here, I moved here with a carload of stuff, and I didn't think twice about it. And there wasn't anything in the back of my mind that thought, what if things go wrong? Because I thought, well, if things go wrong, I'll just move back to Sheffield. But obviously, getting the mortgage made me think, oh, I have to be more secure. But if anything, I wasn't secure, because in 2 years, I was still made redundant. So I thought, well, why not believe in myself and see where the blog and my food business and everything that I'm doing, I can start to synergize and make from it. And that's where CF Marketing came from, because I realized that all the projects I was doing with the blog, and then obviously all that bits of content creation I was doing with the food businesses, I could offer that as a package in terms of marketing, because there were some people who would want to work with me on a project basis, and it might just be one like over the space of a week or a month, whereas some people want to sign up with you and want recurring content to be created, want social media to be managed for them. And I've done that for a year now, but again, because there's a part of me that didn't believe in myself to some point, I wasn't marketing it. And obviously that's what I do, I'm marketing. So over the last few years, I'm sure you've seen, like, I've really started going out there, and I've talked about it, because I realised that with the blog, I keep everyone up to date with what's going on in my life so much that brands come to me. Whereas in you constantly start looking, okay, where am I going to get my next client from? Where am I going to get this bit of money from? But if I look at the experience I've had so far and the fact that brands come to me, surely that should be with clients. So I want to make sure that I put enough out there so that the right type of people will see me. But again, start to search my name, start to search what I'm doing, then to come to me and say, okay, we want you to do X, Y, Z for us, rather than me trying to say, okay, I'm going to introduce myself. Because again, as a Black woman, depending on, I want to be able to work around the world. I want to be a digital nomad. Like, even now, I'm not at home. I'm working from, I'm at a college and I'm off site. But I want to have them to be able to say, I want any type of client around the world to want to work with me, and vice versa, and for me to be anywhere in the world and not have anyone think, oh, why is she traveling? Why is she doing this? Because it's what makes me, what, to me, that part of that freedom is what's made me grow. Obviously moving from Zambia and so on, that's a who I am. So if I don't embrace that and carry on leading, like using that towards the life that I lead, then if that makes sense.
No, I love. I forgot to ask, or maybe you did say, at what age did you move from Zambia?
I was 7.
Okay, so you were pretty young, but then, so you've been, you were moving, for whatever motive. But I love the moving from Sheffield story. You just had stuff in the back of the car and you went, and it really is true that when we are growing up, with a certain age and certain responsibilities, we're less keen to take certain risks. But I like that, all of what you've said, the development of your business, when you started the baking, the muffins. I think I started to follow you when you were talking a lot about how when you did the muffin mix, you were doing I was on your blog later because I don't want to say the wrong term because this is recorded. Then you're working on a project with a friend of yours. All of this info is on your website, but when you go to chikumofiseko.com, I love your website. But it lists everything that you do, your packages, the marketing strategy, etc., your blog links. So, I mean, personally, for me, there's a lot of lessons. For me, as a content creator, there's lots of things to learn, and I like to emphasize this. I mean, there's small things, your Instagram, your Twitter, your website, make it uniform. But just right now, your whole website and the info and the way you've designed it is a lesson for young people who want to get into content creation, okay, or who are already in content creation. So I really, really appreciate, you breaking down your whole trajectory, because people will come and listen and be like, oh, she did this and now she's running her business for a year and she's been afraid to market it. That's curious. But I love that you tweeted about it, because I was thinking I should ask her if she wants to talk about it. But then coincidentally, it turned out that, that we ended up doing this. So I really, really love that. I'm rambling on. Thank you for listening to part 1 of my interview with CHIKUMO FISEKO here on Bulela podcast for my weekly show, Shimika Conmigo. You can already listen to part 2 that is available for you to watch and stream everywhere. I will catch you in my next interview episode. Thank you for listening.